friends. Welcome to another episode of the Mannschrecks. I'm Sarah.
And I'm JJ. Commentary on Christian life and culture from a pastor's wife and her son.
I was going to say, we don't do that anymore because there's like not much about commentary on Christian culture. We're just goofy stories and some conversation.
Which I like. I like a podcast has like evolved over the years, and I can actually say years. This is like episode 106 or 107 or something like that. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Boy.
But if you go back to the old episodes, the audio quality is like really, really bad compared to what it is now. And
Asher was a much more unpredictable baby that joined us a lot more often than Maggie does because I guess I never realized how poorly all of our children have slept until Maggie, who sleeps like a dream.
Best sleeper in the world.
So,
yeah.
Apparently, it takes you 5 kids to finally get the lottery on the sleeper.
Just roll the dice again.
Not worth it. Anyways,
I like our kids.
I do too. I love all of them. They are all very unique and different.
And I also enjoy what our podcast has transformed into over the lifetime of the pod. But anyways, are you ready to approach the news desk?
I am. So first, though, before I do my actual stories, I have a follow-up story from something that we had talked about a while back now.
Love it.
So a while back, you had mentioned the story about the pregnant stingray.
Yes.
That it was kind of uncertain. They weren't sure if she had become impregnated like on her own, like independently, or if it was possible that she had mated with, what was it, a shark?
Yeah, they thought maybe it was going to be a cross-species thing.
So apparently the follow-up to the story is the pregnant stingray with no male companion now has a reproductive disease.
Oh.
So it says that the pregnant stingray had no male companion, but they found the fish has a rare reproductive disease. They did not say what disease, and they didn't comment on the status of her pregnancy. But they did not immediately respond to an email either. It says Charlotte has developed a rare reproductive disease that has negatively impacted her reproductive system. The findings are sad and unexpected. Our priority is focusing on her health. So it says that the pregnancy was shared in February, and she hadn't shared a tank with a male of her species in at least 8 years. So, so they had said at the time that she was pregnant with as many as 4 pups and could give birth within 2 weeks, but she still hasn't given birth. It says the pregnancy was thought to be a result of a type of asexual reproduction, or mating with.
There's a word for it. I can't remember what it is.
It's called parthenogenesis.
Yeah, that.
Yep.
Parthenogenesis.
Yep, but it says that now it sounds like she has a reproductive disease instead, and they haven't commented on what it is or what is the status of her pregnancy. So
I hope the pups are born, and I really want them to be half shark, half stingray. I think that would be so cool. I don't think that's. I think it is an example of parthenogenesis, which is still very rare, but not as exciting.
Yeah.
I have the story, and the story is Rolling Thunder contestants chase cheese wheel down a hill in chaotic UK race.
What?
So that I'm very excited to get to that, but I have a few honorable mentions before we get there.
Oh, okay.
So in this podcast, we have covered, we do a lot of world record news. We do a lot of animal news because those generally trend towards the weirdest stuff.
Truly.
And so there were just 3. We're not going to talk about them. But there was a world record for blowing up the most balloons with your nose.
I saw that one. I thought it was gross.
Yes. World record for typing with your nose. And then there was a bear that broke into someone's home and then and then left the home calmly after stealing 1 package of Oreos.
I did see that too. I almost chose that story, and I was like, "Oh, there's not enough of a story." That's entertaining.
Those are not my stories, but just those are the things that I saw and passed over because I don't know. World record, I kind of feel like we do too much unless it's really good. I skip over world record ones.
Oh yeah.
But the animal news is usually that's pretty good stuff. But then how can you compete with cheese wheel going down the hill in a chaotic UK race? To be honest, this story pulled on my memory, which made me think maybe I've done this story like 2 years ago.
Oh, really? Is this an old story?
No. It's a brand new story. May 30th, 23. Shoot. So this is a year old. Well, I'll pretend it's not.
Maybe you did do this last year.
Maybe I did. The big cheese of extreme UK sports is back.
Oh, boy.
Hundreds of spectators gathered on Monday to watch dozens of reckless racers chase a 7-pound wheel of double Gloucester.
Gloucester.
There's no H.
I know.
All right, Gloucester cheese down the near vertical Cooper's Hill near Gloucester in southwest England.
I feel like you have read this
Doesn't
story
it sound
before.
pulls on your memory?
Somebody go back and listen to all of our episodes and tell us if we've done this story.
Oh no, don't do that. The cheese wheel rolling race. So it's Cooper's Hill. It's 100 miles west of London, and they've been doing this since at least 1826. The sport of cheese rolling is even older than that, but this is how long they've been doing it.
It's a sport? Cheese rolling is a sport?
They roll a giant 7-pound wheel of cheese down a hill, and the hill is like at a very extreme angle, and it's a rough and tumble event that comes with safety concerns. Few competitors managed to stay on their feet all the way down the 200-yard hill. This year, several had to be helped limping off the course. Canadian contestant Delaney Irving, he's 19 years old, she is 19 years old, won the women's race despite being briefly knocked unconscious.
Oh my gosh. Watch out.
She won the race. She got knocked unconscious after... She won the race after getting knocked out. I remember hitting my head, but now I have the cheese.
What do you do with the cheese? You don't eat the cheese. That's gross.
I assume you keep it. Oh, absolutely. I bet it's wrapped in something. Matt Crolla, 28 years old from Manchester in northwestern England, won the first round of several men's racing. Asking how he prepared, he told reporters, "I don't think you can train for it, can you? It's just being an idiot."
At least he's being honest.
I love that line so much.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think you can train for it because it's more about trying to keep your balance and not die while running 200 yards down a very steep hill chasing a wheel of cheese.
It's a very interesting sport. I'd want to see it at least once in my life.
Absolutely.
Laugh and say that I saw it.
The pictures are pretty amazing. Like, people are basically just tumbling down. There's like legs in the air.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you not like just eat it the whole way down?
You basically do. You remember The Princess Bride where she pushes him down the hill and he just like flops?
Yep.
And it's like that, but a whole bunch of people all at the same time.
Oh, so it's like when you try to run down Sleeping Bear Dunes and then everybody's eating sand for...
I'm going to assume yes, maybe. So anyways, UK contestants chase the wheel cheese.
Wow.
As soon as I saw that story, now I want to understand why this popped up on my thing, because wait, did I click on last year's story of the same story? Maybe I did. I'm going to do some research. Why don't you go for your next story?
Okay. Well, this is technically my first story. So, New Orleans mystery. A human skull padlocked to a dumbbell is pulled out of water by a fisherman. In New Orleans, a human skull padlocked to an exercise dumbbell has been fished out of a New Orleans waterway, leaving police with a mystery in their hands. It was found earlier this month by a man using a red rope and a magnet the size of a hockey puck on a bridge to pull things out of the water below. The report was recently released, and the fisherman also found a handgun and a gun barrel in the water. So the 15-pound dumbbell was padlocked around the skull, which was fully decomposed, lacking a jaw or the top row of teeth. So the magnet fisherman flagged down a police officer after finding the skull off the bayou St. John Bridge. Police did not have any further updates on the case, and the coroner did not say whether he had confirmed the victim's identity. Police are seeking tips from the public as they investigate the case. That's horrible.
Wow.
Can you imagine being like, I go down to the river every month and I throw out a magnet and pull up some junk from the river?
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
It kind of does. Like, I mean, he's clearly not going like heavy duty magnets, because there was a guy that I used to know, like, not, I didn't know him, but I was a guy that used to go down to the Grand Haven Channel and would like dig up stuff from the bottom of the channel. Like, he had like, I don't know what kind of equipment he used, but he would dig up and he'd pull out like bikes and people's scooters and like anything that would fall into the channel. He'd like scoop it out and then he'd just like take it to the metal yard and get money for it. But like, this guy's doing this with smaller stuff, obviously,
right.
But I can't imagine he was expecting to find a padlocked skull on a dumbbell. Like, that's like a horror movie.
It's actually, you know what it sounds like is like a Halloween decoration, you know? Like, it sounds like a fake thing, but if it was a real skull, you know, like...
It says it was a real skull.
Oh my gosh.
It's horrifying. But that's the entire story. So,
wow.
Scary things happening down in New Orleans.
With the bayou, you know, like that's where they dump the bad guys. Circling back to my story, yes, it did just happen on June 2nd in 2024.
Okay.
But when I went to go look for it, I found last year's story. So there's a chance I've done this story twice now.
Okay.
Because
We're
they
just
do
revisiting it annually.
Well, it's great, the cheese wheel. This time, last year it was a 7-pound cheese. This year it was a 9-pound cheese.
Ooh, what was it, Gouda this year?
Nope, double Gloucester. It's always double Gloucester cheese in a chaotic scramble. The lady Abby Lamp, who won 2 years in a row now.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So that was like a big deal. That they actually interviewed her. The pictures are worse.
Oh no!
This one guy looks like his head is like stuck in the ground and his feet are he's completely upside down.
Oh no! Oh boy.
Anyway, sorry. I found that, and we have confirmed that I did read the wrong article, but it also happened just last week.
Wow, that's awesome.
My brain is just jumping between the stories now. I'm trying to imagine because Liam got his little metal detector.
Yes.
Right, and so he could do beach searching stuff, and doing stuff with magnets does sound like fun. It seems like that's a pretty fun thing, especially if you're in a place where it's there's junk. People throw stuff in the water so you can bring stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that story you did maybe a month ago of I think it was in New Jersey, and it was crazy things that wash up on the beach?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was the people, because Corona was we're sponsoring cleanup or whatever.
Yes.
And these are what our workers found as we were doing beach cleanup. And it was
whoa. But yeah, to find a human skull, that kind of trumps everything.
Yeah.
Because then, what would you do if you found immediately it's the police, right? You got to call and be oh, now my little fun hobby is a crime scene.
Yeah, I know. I can't. Dang it.
Oh,
Ugh.
man.
Just creepy. So.
All right. A couple of weeks ago, we did Mother's Day, and we found that horrible list. Do you remember that? We did a round of clever or cringe, and we did the Mother's Day list.
Oh, yes.
Well, Huffington Post is at it again, and they have 33 weird Father's Day gifts perfect for your strange dad.
Okay.
So I just got to walk through some of these.
Okay.
Have you done your Father's Day shopping yet? Because I know it's a couple weeks out still, right? We got some
Next
time.
Sunday.
Yeah, when this comes out, so it will be 10 days away by the time this episode comes out. There's lots of businesses that think they know your dad better than you, but don't be manipulated into buying the same old boring ties and tools recommended by those normal gift guides. Chances are, if your dad is like you, he's a weirdo and he deserves gifts that reflect his internal nuttiness. This one is a breakfast mask, and it is egg yolks with eye holes cut in with a piece of toast and then bacon poking out. That make it look like a kind of like a giant feather headdress, Native American style, but made out of breakfast foods.
No, that's okay.
All kinds of weird. A fish hip flask. It's a metal fish with a hole, and you push the button, and it pours out. It's a flask.
It's not essential.
A flask made of fish.
Wow.
Feathers McGraw penguin plush slippers. If your dad gets cold feet, warm up his Tootsie with the help of Feathers McGraw, the villainous penguin from the Wallace and Gromit films.
Wow.
So they're just slippers made from the Wallace and Gromit.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong. I love me some slippers. That's always good. A doggy do key hider.
Oh no, you put it next to your.
Yep.
So,
It's like a hider rock, or what are those called?
Yeah.
Finder rock, or
yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
where they have the hollow rock and there's a key that you put inside. But it's a doggy doo doo.
It's a doggy doo doo.
Yes.
Nice. Very mature.
Zigzag Rolling Papers limited edition orange velour tracksuit.
Boy, that was way too many mouthfuls
That was
of words
way
just
too
to
many
get to the even worse ending of velour tracksuit.
He will feel most relaxed in this orange velour tracksuit, featuring the logo of the Zigzag Rolling Paper Company, which...
that doesn't make me feel relaxed. It actually makes me feel really uncomfortable to see someone in a velour tracksuit, so maybe don't buy that for your dad.
Very, very confused, right? This one is a plush doll neck pillow that is based on a marble seedling, which is a Final Fantasy 14 reference. So it's like a little character. Kind of looks like Aubrey from Little Shop of Horrors. Like
Audrey?
the little... Oh, Audrey. Is it Audrey? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the little Venus flytrap kind of a thing. Bigfoot chocolates. Admittedly, the demographic of people who love Bigfoot and chocolate-covered cherries might be niche, but if that's your dad, there's no sweeter gift. So they're chocolate covered cherries with little Bigfoot designs on them.
Oh, wow.
They're actually kind of cute, and
That's incredibly unique.
I'm on board. I like it. A guitar pick table. It's a wooden table in the shape of a guitar pick. Like an end table.
Okay.
Only $80 at GuitarCenter.com.
Only at Guitar Center? Who goes to Guitar Center is like, I don't need a guitar, but I will buy this end table.
Okay, do you remember the Mother's Day episode and there were those horrible candles? Do you remember that?
Oh, was it the full-figured women
Yeah,
candles?
it was the pregnant body candles, right? And it was just like a torso of a pregnant lady, and it was a candle.
Yes.
So for the men, it's the Italian gestures candles, and it's like the chef's kiss hand motion, and those are candles. In the hand.
You said Italian gesture, and then you put your hands out, and I thought something very different was going to happen.
Oh,
I was like,
no!
I was like, boy, that's not nice.
No, it's like the chef kiss emoji,
I get it now.
kind of a thing, but it's a candle.
Huh, okay.
Sonic the Hedgehog pizza cutter. So it looks like he's
Are you
running
sure it's for your
fast.
dad? Or
Hey, I still love Sonic the Hedgehog. That is very true. I would not pay $35 at Hallmark.com.
if you're paying more than $5 for a pizza cutter, something's seriously wrong with you.
Oh boy. All right, here we go. A baseball cap that also treats hair loss. The inside of the hat is lined with hair treatment stuff. Sure, everyone will think you just got Dad a baseball cap for Father's Day, but you really got him a cap that uses laser light to promote hair growth. It's a secret that only the two of you will share.
So I'm getting my dad a laser hat?
Yep.
That's weird.
The lasers promote hair growth. That is hilarious. Very niche, Dad, but also $605 on Amazon.
Absolutely not.
So probably not. Okay. I actually really like this. It's a bacon scarf.
It's a scarf that looks like a piece of bacon.
Yep. Unfortunately, it looks like uncooked bacon.
Ew.
It's like white and red ribbons on a scarf.
That's weird.
I kind of like it. A sniper ghillie suit. Why? Like, I agree many men think that those are cool, but I think we would feel like frauds to have one without ever using.
There's no point.
Why? I'm not a sniper. That's silly.
That's weird.
A zombie chocolate bunny. It's just a chocolate bunny with funny paint on it that like looks like it got bitten.
That's an Easter thing.
Yep.
Maybe.
And $30 at sugarplum.com. Come on now.
Whoa. No, thank you. Sorry, I'm not going to pay him $30 for chocolate for my dad.
Good grief. Rubber duckies from Stanley Kubrick movies.
What?
They make rubber duckies.
These are incredibly niche.
They're just, if you remember though, by the end of it, we had decided that basically only an AI program would think that this was
Written by
Mother's Day
AI.
stuff. Although
Fully
some of
agree.
these I'm on board with. Like, I do think the bacon scarf is pretty fun. And, so those candles are kind of cool. A cane with a built-in sword. The answer is yes. I would love that.
You know who else would love that is our 5-year-old.
Come on, that's cool. I think a 5-year-old would just be happy with a cane. Like,
He
this is a
likes
stick.
swords too.
I like swords. It's $150, but
Whoa.
hey, a cane. I don't need a walking cane yet, but when I get one, I want one with a sword in it. Or a flask. What was that? That was the mom one, right?
That is just awful.
A wearable neck air conditioner.
I've seen those.
Yeah, that could be that's kind of actually a kind of cool thing. I'm looking. Ooh, Bert and Ernie slippers.
Really?
I love them. I want them. Those are awesome.
Only $65.99 at PBS.com.
Actually, they're only $25. $25 for slippers. I feel like that's reasonable.
For good slippers.
A portable pickleball net.
I've actually seen that. Actually, I've seen that at a couple places now.
Yeah, I have never. I know of the pickleball trend, but
very
I know
popular
nothing.
right now.
Oh, extremely. But I'm just kind of like a gutter cleaner that doesn't require a ladder. Okay,
Ooh.
That's actually pretty handy. It's like this big extension rod that has a thing that helps you see into the gutter.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. That's not bad either. $33.
That's useful.
I'm scrolling past all the cannabis stuff.
No.
I think I might wear these. They're called chubberalls. They are shorts that are overalls. It's like a romper for men, and it's the American flag.
Better wear them on the 4th of July.
Patriotic shorts that are also overalls.
Wow.
Crazy cart. It looks like kind of a go-kart looking thing.
Okay.
Whoa, $1,000.
I mean, if it's a go-kart.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, though. Yellowstone themed coffee. That's the TV show that's popular. And
Okay.
So yeah,
Sure.
all right.
Why not?
Pickle juice.
Just a jar of pickle juice?
Yep. It says, apparently this is a sports drink that leaves a sour taste in your mouth. But also just pickle juice on its own. That's a thing people drink.
Why would you buy your dad energy, like sports drink? That's weird.
Dads should not drink
Here, Dad,
that
here's
stuff.
a 12-pack of Gatorade. Happy Father's Day.
This is a bad idea. A
Trusty friend.
bathroom-oriented bathroom book. It's called Own Your Throne.
Let's be real. We know Dad's not going to use this. He's going to use his phone.
No, Dad's on TikTok during the bathroom breaks. All right, so that was Huffington Post's Father's Day gift ideas that they
completely useless ideas that no one probably ever needs to buy.
No, most of those were pretty terrible.
Wow, that's so ridiculous. I just can't wrap my mind around some of these.
Thought it was funny.
That is hilarious. Okay, so my last story is nothing about Father's Day, but the title is Sleepy Town Thrust into Chaos as Out of Control Chickens Ruin Families' Everyday Lives.
What?
There's a
I feel like I heard all the words you said, but none of them went into my brain.
The birds have kept residents awake and attracted tourists who often leave food for them, which has attracted rats. The first sentence of the article just says, "What the clock?" A group of unruly feral chickens are reportedly wreaking havoc on a tight-knit British village, altering the way of life in the quiet community, while also attracting tourists who have exacerbated the problem. So the city is called Snedisham, a village of Snedisham.
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 I need a moment with that information.
A village in the English country of Norfolk has said their lives have been made hell after the birds swarmed the area. Feral chickens have reportedly ruined gardens and kept residents up at night. They aren't sure who owns the chickens, but their numbers have soared. To make matters worse, curious tourists who travel to see the birds have left them food, which has attracted rats.
Wow.
Rod McKenzie says, they're a pain in the butt. If they come into your garden, they dig everything up. It's not just for the food for the chickens. It's every bit of detritus they can find, and that brings rats, a parish councilor told the press. So,
I kind of second this, though. Like, every time we've had chickens in two different houses, and when we set up the coop, they destroy that ground.
They do.
Like, the ground underneath that they are on regularly. That's why your sister and Tom, they have to, like, move it constantly. Otherwise, the chickens will destroy the grass. And it's like, if you got a bunch of them loose for an extended period of time, they will. They will just destroy the yard.
It's, I could believe that.
Yeah.
One of the residents who lives in the village said he wears earplugs to go to sleep at night because of the constant crowing. They're out of control, and there's not just one or two. If someone came and moved them, I'd buy them a big beer, he said.
Please come and get rid of my feral chicken.
Some residents say while they're certainly distracting, they aren't really bothered by the flock. Someone said, people in the new houses are moaning about them, but they've been here such a long time, and there's more important things going on in the world than a few chickens. They should get a life.
I didn't realize they'd been there a long time. So people are moving in and saying, wait, y'all just deal with this? And everyone's like, yeah, it's just the neighborhood feral chickens. What do you want?
Yeah,
That's like moving into a new neighborhood and then finding out that like there's a massive raccoon problem or something, and everyone's just cool with it. And it's like, yeah, no, they do that. They get into your stuff.
Yeah. Actually, this story ends in like a totally unrelated note of a different situation. It says, I don't understand this line. While delicious and mostly harmless, chickens have caused more trouble for their human neighbors before. But these feral chickens are just feral chickens. Like, they're not
And feral doesn't mean like rabid, right? What does feral mean? That just means wild?
Wild.
Okay. I guess I don't know.
They're wild.
So they just are chickens that live outside.
Wild chickens are not that uncommon. You go to lots of places in Central America, and there's wild chickens everywhere.
I guess I never really thought about that.
I remember when we went down to Mexico, there were so many wild chickens walking around. Like, it's not that uncommon.
Well, I've never been to Mexico.
But I mean, it's not. Apparently, it's not uncommon for some places to just have wild chickens.
So they just have wild chickens, but they're causing problems.
But for these residents, apparently, it's getting bigger and bigger because they're attracting tourists who are going down and being like, let's feed the chickens.
And then that's causing rats to show up. And yeah, I'd be mad. No, it sounds like you're allowed to eat them.
Yeah. Kill and eat.
Gotta go get the chicken. That would be a bummer. There's a reason we keep them all penned in, though. Like, I don't know that a chicken's worth hunting for.
Not
you
really.
know, it's like this little bird.
So anyway, that's happening in Snedisham.
I just love the name of it so much.
It's so crazy. But.
England, the way they named it. How are you supposed to say these things without giggling? You know, like
you're not. That's the whole point.
I love it. I love it. All right. Hey, are you ready for Sponsor Your Life?
Sure.
All right. What do you got?
So this past week, we were all, not all of us, apparently. Some of us were not.
I got away with it.
Without it. Oh, so you know your time is coming.
I know, right? It hasn't hit me yet.
So we were all really sick. And from about Wednesday night until, oh my gosh, Saturday night, I started to feel better.
Yeah.
It was miserable,
It was
but
pretty
I got it
brutal.
really bad. I think it was just rough. So Sponsor My Life is kind of a double. I'm super, super thankful for my health, returned health, and being able to like function and not feel exhausted and just absolutely nauseous and unable to like move at all.
Yeah.
But also you.
Oh.
You said that was silly to say that a person was not to sponsor your life, but I was very, very grateful because I feel like I was so thankful for the flexibility of your work schedule this week for you to be able to
stay home.
Right, because normally you would still have gone into work on a Thursday and put in a full day, and because you had the flexibility of saying, well, I'll do a little work from home on Friday and I'll work on Saturday, because I was starting to feel a little bit better by then. It was so nice to have Thursday for like you helping to take care of all of us, because
I could be with everybody.
It was so hard to take care of Maggie and the kids who felt okay when, three of us were just feeling absolutely miserable. So, yeah, that sponsored my life. All the stuff you did. And you did laundry, which was like huge because there was a lot of laundry to be done.
Dishes and laundry and cleaning up after sick people.
It's pretty miserable. So
I am glad you guys are all healthy too. And I'm just glad you're back, because that was really hard to do. Yeah, no. So sickness hit our house, and it really makes you appreciate hey, I can get up, go downstairs, and do one thing without feeling totally winded and feverish.
Like even yesterday, I was like trying to take a shower, and I was like, I am so exhausted from standing up. Like I just like feeling like not like I'm gonna keel over, but just like getting winded more easily.
Totally.
It was weird. So.
Let's see. I'm gonna try and go in a happier direction.
Sorry.
No, that was a good. Well, no, thank you. That means a lot. I'm very grateful that you guys are feeling better. Sponsoring my life this past week has been so in worship. I led worship. We had we're in the process of hiring a new worship director, so we kind of have a rotation of guest worship people, and every now and then I step in and do that. And so I got to lead worship, and we did a song that I haven't done in a long time. It was called Child of Love, which is by We the Kingdom. It's kind of an older song. It's been out for a long time, and we've done it before years and years ago, but I haven't done it in a long time. And it was just fun. It was really fun. I love playing. We have a very talented worship team at the church that we're at right now, and it's just a privilege to play with them. I like playing with people who are much more talented than I am, because you have the ability to I don't know, I feel like they raise the standard, they raise the bar, and I feel like I do better when I'm playing with people who are better.
That's so awesome, because I always feel like I don't like playing with people who are much better than me.
Oh, you like to be the best one in the room?
No, I just feel so inadequate when I'm playing with them that I'm like, I'll just go.
I'll just go. You want me to leave?
I know. One of us belongs here and one of us does not. Sense it. Yeah, I'm gonna go sit.
That's such a sad thing to think. No, I really enjoy it, and they're super positive. They're very kind. They weren't good. You're bad. They were really nice about it. So it was a lot of fun to play a song I hadn't played in a while, and I guess just in general, when you find music you haven't listened to in a long time, and it's just it's so good.
Jam on it.
It's really nice.
Sure.
So that is sponsoring my life today.
That's fun.
All right. Today, I thought we could spend at least a few moments talking about the concept of slippery slopes.
Okay.
Now, it was pulling on my memory, and I don't really have necessarily a structure. I don't have an article or anything, but somebody had talked about a slippery slope, and it's like you see it in kind of everything, right? It's in religious circles. You see it in education or politics, and they're like, if you allow this, it is the start of a slippery slope, and it's going to eventually lead to this, right? Okay. Another phrase that actually is fun. Have you ever heard the phrase, let the camel get their nose in the tent?
No.
You can't let the camel get the nose in the tent. Someone used that with me a long time ago. What was it? It was during COVID in 2020. And I was like, there was government money available for churches for their program. And I was like, I think we should utilize this program. It seems like it's a really good idea. And they were like, nah, we don't want them to get the camel's nose in the tent. And I was like, what on earth are you talking about? And they're like, it's an expression of like, if you let them get their foot in the door, they're going to keep coming in. If you let the camel get its nose in the tent, it's going to keep coming in. So if you let the government get into the church, it's going to keep like that. Was
you don't want government people in church. They might actually be more honest and ethical people.
That was their argument. They were concerned. I thought it was a little silly, to be honest. I was like, I don't think the government's trying to get in here. I think they're trying to help businesses, and we happen to be one of those.
We thought they were trying to help us during 2020. They were.
Well, but anyways, no. So it was just kind of like an old expression, but part of it, I don't know. It's like when I disagree with the slippery slope argument, I roll my eyes and I'm like, you're just being ridiculous. That will never happen. But the longer I've been alive, the more I realize, like, yeah, no, that is how it works. Mm-hmm. Slippery slopes. Like when I was in high school, there were two. There was physical contact and drugs, right? They were like physical. If you kiss, that will lead to the next thing. That will lead to the next thing. And then suddenly you're having sex before marriage. Mm-hmm. And drugs, it was like if you smoke cigarettes, that'll lead to smoking marijuana, which will lead to harder drugs. And it's like a slippery slope. And it's like in some regards, that's a very real thing. There is a progression, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on just slippery slopes in general?
I mean, I definitely agree to a certain extent. I don't think you can blanket statement it, obviously, because every situation is unique. But I can see where you would like you could see how in certain situations, and I've seen it in certain people, where you start to like make room for things, and you're like, well, maybe I think, and then it's kind of like, as you kind of start to solidify and back it more and more and more, you've kind of legitimized more and more, and suddenly it's like anything goes, and you've just completely changed your, whole tune on something that you used to be pretty firm on. And it's usually not for the better, I found.
Almost
in people
always.
that I've seen. It's not like they're riding back up the hill.
It is though.
I climbed the mountain. No, I just slipped on the other side.
But I do think there is just sort of a natural progression of I'm comfortable. When you experience something new, it reorients what you're okay with. And it does. It moves the goalposts a little bit down the line. Mm-hmm. I think for me, one of the solutions to sort of a slippery slope situation, because I do think some of it is ridiculous. I think slippery slopes have been used as sort of a fear tactic. Mm. If you allow this one thing, let me scare you with the most extreme. Yeah. And so I think it's kind of both. I think it is used as a ridiculous scare tactic. Like if you read Harry Potter, your children will turn into
if you get
demon
tattoos,
worshipers.
You will become a Satanist.
Right, right. And I've seen a lot of those kind of scare tactics. If you don't vote for this person, then the world will basically end, right?
Yes.
And it's like, oh my gosh, this snowball slippery slope thing, it's very ridiculous. But at the same time, it's also very real, not in the scare tactic way, but in just the sort of general way of, that's how it works, right? Sort of what's that boiling the toad thing? That's how you cook a frog or a toad, right? You just turn the water up just a little bit. If you're not familiar with that. Mm-mm. Oh yeah. So okay, I'm gonna try and explain something that I don't fully understand.
Oh, good. Okay,
there's
that's
an expression with frogs. You just turn the water up just a little bit, and they don't notice. And you can actually turn it up all the way to boiling, and they actually will die, and they don't realize it because they just get used to the water at the different temperatures. That's my understanding of the expression.
Huh.
So yeah, you boil a toad slowly. Right, and they just turn the water up until suddenly it's too much for them.
Huh. Interesting.
I'm going to have to look it up and make sure that that's real. And if I'm wrong, I'll cut it from the podcast.
But that is an interesting way of thinking about it, though, because you kind of just justify it until it's too late. You're in hot water.
And so I think sort of the way to respond to it is that really what we need to do is have facts and reasons for our positions on things, not comparative. Right. So you should believe something is right or wrong for an actual reason and not just because it's different, better, or worse than what came before.
Yeah.
Right. Like if your sexual ethics is based on, it's not as bad as this other thing, or it's a little better than what my parents did or something. That's not real sexual ethics. You draw your sexual ethics on some kind of principle. The Bible
as your
I do. You really should draw
your guidepost. I really do.
Because I think if it becomes comparative of just, well, it's not as bad as this or it's better than that, then it really can be anything. And in 20 years, it will be something totally different. You know, and it's like you justify things and you just turn the temperature up on the frog a little bit. But if it's based on a principle, if it's based on a concrete kind of a fact or a data set that's like, no, this is right, this is wrong, and here's why, then it doesn't matter what people are okay with or not okay with. There is the root. And Christians definitely get that obviously from the Bible. I don't know. I think I feel like as a culture we see things slipping, and it slips a little too far. And some people have put their fact pole in the ground and said, no, wait, I do have a standard, and it has slipped too far.
Too far.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
For sure. So I did find some historical examples of slippery slopes that actually slipped. Now, what's fascinating is that first, many of these are just weird. Okay. But some of these are made up. Like, I'm not sure that these are connected. And people are like, well, this led to this. And I'm like, I'm not so sure about that. For example, slippery slope arguments. And a lot of people talk about slippery slope as a fallacy. Like, it's not a real thing. It doesn't really happen. Okay. And I think it definitely
absolutely
there's no question that slippery slope is a thing. Yeah. I do think it is, like we talked about, it's used as a fear tactic, and that is not always real. But that doesn't mean the slippery slopes are not slippery. Yeah, it's still a thing. There was concern about federal regulation when they created regulatory agencies. The Officer of the Comptroller and the Currency, created in 1863, raised concerns. They were initially met with resistance because there was potential for a slippery slope of egregious federal oversight. I think it's fair to say that definitely happened.
Absolutely, that happened.
Opponents of the pill, the birth control pill, were afraid that widespread acceptance would encourage promiscuity. And seeing as the pill was one of the pillars of the sexual revolution, yes, I think that's pretty clear. Yeah. This one talks about TSA. Okay. When they first put in the body scanners in 2009, it was promised that you would always be able to opt out of body scanners. They would never force you to go through a body scanner. By 2015, they silently revised those rules such that only certain passengers would not be allowed to opt out. And then today it's basically impossible for anyone who is not a child to not get body scanned. Everyone gets body scanned now, right? You remember when you go in the airport and they make you
you can still request if you can just be patted down instead.
It's true. But it is a slippery slope that I think we've seen in our lifetime of like, well, we're just going to install this. We're not going to make everyone do it. It's kind of, it's another one is the self-checkout in the stores. You remember when they first introduced it and they're like, that's just if you want to. You don't have to. And now it's like, no, you have to. Yep. Self-checkout's the only way.
I think a lot of people realize, though, it's way easier to do it yourself because we less and less like contact with people, which makes me sad.
Yeah, yes, and I do. I think actually many people prefer that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, not just that the companies prefer it, but we're starting to create a culture that. Yeah. Yep. In the early days of commercial air travel, going into the 1960s, cigarette smoking was permitted through the airplane cabin. Then they made a reasonable rule that smoking would only be prohibited in the restrooms. Then they made a reasonable rule that half the plane would be reserved for non-smokers. Then they made another rule that prohibited smoking anywhere in the plane.
Well, if they slippery slope, I think that we benefited from that one.
Oh yeah, but it is like the argument is if they had started with a ban of cigarettes on the airplanes, people would have been outraged and nobody would have tolerated it. But they just slowly, incrementally chip away at it.
I don't understand how it was safe and allowed for people to smoke.
I'm shocked that they would allow anything that needs oxygen to provide an atmosphere cabin pressure.
That air recirculates. Why would you say that half the cabin is smoking and half is not? Well, how does that even work? We used to eat out at the time when they would have smoking or non sections in restaurants. And you could not sit in a restaurant, and even in the non-smoking section, and say, yeah, I don't smell any cigarette smoke.
Well, I remember as a kid, the non-smoking section.
Oh, yeah.
And I always used to get it was like I would pipe up really proudly, we're in the non-smoking section.
Yeah.
But you can still smell it.
I remember we'd walk into a restaurant and we'd like all three of us kids, we'd like race and try to be the first one to tell the hostess, non-smoking for 5, please. Like, oh my gosh, how dorky are you?
Although I do remember there were days when it was like the non-smoking section's full. Are you willing to sit in the
I remember
section?
my parents were like, we're leaving.
Yeah, yep. See, sometimes we would go though. It was like, well, okay, we'll sit at the edge of the smoking section because you could sit down right away. I'm just looking for more slippery slope. I will say, what's another one? Delivering mail on weekends.
Oh.
Right? It used to be Sundays were a sacred thing. We won't deliver on weekends at all. And then it was like, well, Saturdays, sure. And I'm talking like packages, right? And then it was like, well, now Sunday. And now, honestly, you can even get like regular mail on Sundays.
Yeah. Well, Amazon has made the U.S. Postal Service start delivering things on Sundays. If it's an Amazon delivery and they have said you will deliver on Sunday and it ends up going through the USPS, it will be delivered at your house by a postal worker on Sunday. I'm shocked.
Yeah, but I do think the best way to respond is not to deny their existence because that's just silly. I remember hearing those arguments as a kid, though. Like, if you watch this action movie with violence and gore, you'll become desensitized to it. And then the next thing you know, you'll be...
I mean, literally what you fill your mind with is what you start to become like. Mm-hmm. So that is rooted, like, pretty biblically. Like, I don't know.
I just think it's like it's used... as a scare tactic, and that's right. We should call that out because it can be very ridiculous. At the same time, we can kind of have the nuance to say, hey...
for discernment.
Yeah, like, there is such a thing as a slippery slope, and it does progressively work on us. And this isn't limited to, like, one area.
No,
you know?
No.
This is in all areas of our life. I just download the app on my phone, and I'll only play it at night, and then I'll play it in my lunch break and at night. And now
next thing you know, you're sitting next to your husband on the couch and he's watching TikTok all the time, and you never have conversations anymore. So be careful. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, I will just listen to one podcast, and then now I think I have a podcast for almost every day of the week that I listen to.
Oh, I know. You tell me about it every time. I was listening to this one podcast. I was listening to my one podcast. The one podcast that I listen to.
You know, people used to read articles and books and stuff, and now it's all just podcasts.
People used to be smart, and now they're not.
It's true. Our society might be crumbling around us.
Might be.
On that happy note. No, so sorry, to complete the thought. Yes, slippery slopes are a real thing. We can have nuance in the conversation. But if you stake your positions on principles instead of on comparisons from where it was and where it's going, you're more likely to keep a consistent ethic on anything, you know,
that's valid.
And that's better. So, yeah, get some principles, folks.
There you go.
All right, let's wrap this up. Are you ready with the mom joke of the week?
I am.
All right, give it to me.
All right. Okay, this one, it's painful at first.
Love it.
But when I read it out loud, I laughed. Okay. Who's Irish and stays outside all summer?
I don't know.
Patio furniture.
That's so dumb.
So dumb. But the more I said it out loud, the more I couldn't stop laughing, and I was like, okay, that's valid.
I like it.
Anyway.
I like good mom joke. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.